Hello, welcome. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good day, wherever you are, all the best. You are with Joy Ruffen, leading ladies, leaving legacies, living legacies. And you see me chuckling with a great big broad smile on my face because my friend and I, we hope we've pulled it together, but we never know. We tested and we tried everything. I'm excited to have you here tonight with Leading Ladies, Leaving Legacies because this topic that we're going to be speaking to, how you can predict buying behavior in less than 90 seconds, was so intriguing to me that when I met Valerie, I had heard about it a little bit before meeting her. And then when we went more into detail, I fell more in love with it because at my core, being a salesperson, even though everything is sold, is not where I'm at. And yet, building relationships and getting to know people is. And this is a combination of the two. So I want you, by the way, thank you for being here and welcome. I see my Bet here, my loyal and faithful, they always arrive whenever they can. Thank you for coming. Tonight, Valerie Johnson is going to share with you a lot about the bank code. But let me tell you a little bit about Valerie before I bring her in. She lives in southeastern Florida. She loves the ocean and enjoys the climate of the Treasure Coast while has lived in many different locations abroad and here in the States. She considers herself a true Floridian. And her first profession was as a teacher. Now, don't we all love our teachers? Yes, we do. Her family culture allowed her to discuss that. And yet, after a while, she decided, there must be something else. She became a lawyer. But before we go into all of her background, you want to see and hear from Valerie, and she'll share a little bit with you about how she came to be a certified trainer for the bank code. So I'm going to bring Valerie over. Valerie, here you are. Say hello. You're on camera right here and now. Welcome.
Well, thank you, Joy, and hello, everybody. It's delightful for me to be here. Yes, I did lawyer until I fell in love with a wonderful man who wanted to live in Florida, and I didn't want to practice law down here. So we went into business together. He ran the front of the house, the sales. I ran the back of the house, and I was president of the American Floor Covering Association. One of the things I discovered in that enterprise was sales training really was abysmal. A trainer would fly in, they would spend the day with our staff, they would fly out. There was no follow-up. So while there was one day of massive inversion, it was gone so quickly. In fact, in the United States, companies are spending $5 billion a year on sales training.
Let me interrupt you right here and there because you started off saying something that we all are going to be in tune with and listening to. But before we go any further, I just want to tell the listening audience and those who will come later for the replay that Valerie and I both tested our earbuds and our mics, and it was better without, and yet I can hear a little bit of feedback. I'm hoping that you will be able to listen to the show and get the max out of it. And we're going to be as in sync with our vocal and the sound as we can. And when there's too much of a feedback, we'll refresh and come back. But please bear with us and stay with us. All right, that said, Valerie, continue, because what I want you to speak to tonight, the time flies here. So I want you to share with us how you came to the bank code and tell us about the bank code and what it is for you.
Absolutely. With the $5 billion that American businesses spend, 67% of professional salespeople indicate they miss their quota on a regular basis. They feel they're inadequately prepared because they don't know how to communicate with the client. I was attending a seminar and waiting to get in, I overheard a conversation by somebody who ran 5 businesses in California, construction businesses, and an ER physician. They were both talking about how a methodology called BANK was actually benefiting their business tremendously. So I had to find out what BANK was. And I did find out that BANK is the only methodology scientifically validated to predict buying behavior in 90 seconds or less. You see, it's a personality assessment. I'm sure you've all taken personality assessments and they took a long time, they were expensive, and you found out about you. But let me ask you, did that ever put any money in your pocket? I doubt it. I don't know anybody who made any money from taking the personality assessment. Sherry Tree, our founder, was absolutely distraught about this. She'd spent a lot of money on training and was going nowhere. She realized that sales and relationships are people business. People, yeah. It's all business is people.
Yes, absolutely.
And people are personalities. So wouldn't it be better to study personalities? That is exactly what she did. Took her back to Hippocrates 400 years BC, bringing it up to the future. Yes, there are 4 personality types. Blueprints, these are people who think within the box. Action people don't want to go anywhere near the box. Nurturers recycle the box. And knowledge people engineer the box. She then took these personalities, observed them, studied them, and she codified 12 separate and distinct values for each personality. She put these on a card. She then reverse engineered these characteristics so that she came up with buying triggers, buying tripwires, negotiation skills, and most of all, communication skills.
Valerie,
Yeah.
let me ask you one thing. I see where you're going and I get it, and we're going to get a little bit more in depth, but qualify for us the one major difference that the BANKCode offers us from the multitude of personality assessments that are available to us.
There are several ways. One is cost effective. 2, rather than telling you about your personality, you can get information about the personality of your client. And when you study the system, you learn the communication skills for each of the 4 personality types. So
Yes.
let's illustrate, if I may,
Absolutely.
using the values cards.
Mm-hmm.
There's a card for each of the personality types, and on the back is a series of 12 values cards. Or values rather. This is what I do. For instance, Joy, before we get started, will you do something for me?
Absolutely.
Fantastic. Take these 4 cards. On the back of each card is a series of 12 values. Read each of the values as a set on each card, and then arrange the cards most like you right now on the top and least like you right now on the bottom. That'll help me save us time and help me serve you better. Now, essentially, what this does, when the customer takes the cards, you're connecting physically because you're each hanging onto the cards. When they follow your instructions, oh, you know it's good to get people to follow your instructions, don't you, when you want them to do something. When they hand it back to you, they are giving you the Holy Grail, how to communicate with them. So, for instance, let's run through the different personalities quickly. A blueprint.
Let's do that. Let's do that. And I'm also putting up at the same time, for those who are here now and those who will come after, you are offering a free assessment. And I'm going to put up the link while you're expressing and explaining to us the 4 different major categories, and then we'll go from there. So take it away now, Valerie.
I appreciate that. If Blueprint is on top, Blueprints, these are the people who think within the box. There are accountants, there are teachers. They love structure, they love systems, and oh, how they like tradition. When you're communicating with a blueprint, you have to be professional. You have to be organized.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be on time and without budget, or within budget rather, not without budget. Never got anywhere doing that. Now, Sherry, our founder, had an appointment with a blueprint. She'd been working with this gentleman for about 6 months. He called her up and he says, Sherry, I'm ready to sign the paperwork and let's get started. Yippee! They were going to meet for lunch at noon. She got to the parking lot at noon. She got to the table at 5 minutes past 12. They had
Uh-huh.
a lovely lunch. And at the appropriate time, she took out the paperwork and the pen, and he did absolutely nothing. She said, John, what's the problem? To which he replied, Sherry, you yes, you disrespected my time. If you treat me this way before you have my money, how are you going to treat me afterwards? I am never going to do business with you. It's been a nice lunch. So little things with the blueprints. An action person, on the other hand, doesn't want anything to do with structure, doesn't want anything to do with systems. They're looking for opportunity. They're looking for freedom. They're looking for excitement. When you're communicating with an action person, you have to be excited. You have to get to the point. What's in it for them? Because they don't care about anybody else but themselves. You need to come dressed to impress. Make sure your shoes are polished. Make sure your handbag, ladies, doesn't have rough edges and handles and things of that nature. Get directly to the point.
All right, let me interject here for just a second because I think I get this and I've done this. And as you well know, I absolutely love this. I'm over the moon about this. Yet, the way that you're giving us these two descriptions thus far, the action and the blueprint person, one of the things that I think we need to say here and now, Valerie, to qualify it a wee bit, is that all of us, even though our main component might be what you're describing, there are the underlying three other elements of that personality that fit into. Because I know some action people, and yet what you're saying and how you're describing them, that's on point. But they also have other aspects of that that gives them more leeway to be accepting of you. Yes?
Absolutely. Yes, we all have part of each of
Yes, that's
them.
what I wanted to hear. Mm-hmm.
But remember, when I handed the cards, I said, right now.
Yes, yes, yes.
Your personality will change depending on what you're doing.
This is
If
true.
I'm buying a car, I am totally knowledge. I want to know all about everything. If I am coaching somebody, I am nurturing.
Uh-huh.
If I am training somebody, I am so blueprint because you train on systems.
Yes.
It, and action, the most action I was when my husband asked me to marry him, and I said yes. And when I met Sherry and was introduced to BANKCode, I signed up to become a certified trainer that day, which is somewhat out of character for me. But depending
Mm-hmm.
on what you're doing,
Mm-hmm.
a different part of your personality arises. And if you give a blueprint presentation to an action personality, you've lost them. If you give an action presentation to a blueprint, they're not going to connect. It just doesn't work.
I like it and I get that. Now let's speak to the other two personalities. I want to hear about them because I'm one of those too.
Yes, I do believe you are a nurturer.
Yes.
Nurturers, these are our social workers, our nurses. I like to say our tree huggers. Nurturers care about relationships. They love authenticity and ethics. Never, ever, ever stretch the truth when you
Mm.
are dealing with a nurturer.
Mm-hmm.
When you're making a presentation or you're connecting with a nurturer, you have to be genuine. If you are working with a charity, it's perfectly all right to drop the name of that charity because that will take you up a step in their thoughts. And don't spend time talking about the systems. Talk about how what you're doing will benefit the community, will benefit their family, their friends, because they are much more interested in family and friends and community than they are in themselves.
Yes.
In fact, many times nurturers are flat broke because they give everything away. They have a Rolodex that is worth its weight in gold. And once you establish a relationship, they will let you into their Rolodex.
Valerie, I'm laughing and I'm chuckling here because they say the harder you laugh, the truer it is. And every people until they get to know me, they don't see that aspect, but I'm always giving. That's just part of my persona. And yet you mentioned that nurturing people were tree huggers. I'm not the biggest hugger or demonstrative, emotional person, but underneath it's underlying there for sure. So I get it.
I don't mean literally that you go out there.
I know what you mean.
Has a connotation to it. One of my friends, Robin Edgar, she is a financial services person with a very high net worth clientele. Once she learned the bank system, she increased her earnings more than 30% without adding a single client. She found that she was able to better connect and better communicate with her existing clients.
I have to interject right here and now because for me, for someone who really has never been a hardcore salesperson, yet very in depth with what I know and my knowing, and my husband is totally the opposite, was always a hardcore salesperson. What you just said is so impactful for someone like me, and I'm sure many in the listening audience, because what you just said is how did you put that? She did not increase her volume, but she increased how did you say that? I want to remember that.
She increased her earnings without increasing her client base.
That's what I heard. I think that's brilliant. Brilliant.
And it's so much easier to work with your existing clients more effectively than to go out and get new ones and start all over.
This is true. Yeah.
Absolutely. So knowledge is our last word. And I have to admit, I am a knowledge. Lots of people are engineers, analysts, scientists, researchers. We value learning. We value expertise. And, I could sit in front of a computer or with a book all day and just learn. And I am so happy. And yet when I was in sales for a very short period of time, I thought that everybody I was talking to wanted to know as much about the product or service that and I know a lot about what I'm doing in this regard. I have seen people's eyes light up when I first start talking, and then the eyelids fall, and we both walk out of there with nothing. So now I have actually learned 4 different presentations on everything that I sell. If I'm working with a knowledge person, I'm going to have all my facts and figures. I'm going to have backup, and I'm going to have a handout because a knowledge person rarely closes on the very first time. They want to do their independent due diligence, and they're going to get their research guided either by Google or by the handout that you give them. I suggest that the handout that you provide them is going to be more beneficial, not only to them, but also to your business, than if they go on a Google search with all in there. So a nurturer person, I talk about their community. Action people, I'm very fast, blueprint, very systematic.
Yes. Let me ask you this, because I like the way you broke it down. I think we covered the 4 of them, right?
Yes.
Yes. And I like the way you expressed and explained to us the different personas, personalities. In the assessment that our audience will get, what will they learn other than the outline that you gave us? Will they learn something about the buying triggers for each and every characteristic that you mentioned for the 4 major types?
Okay. What people will receive when they click on there is an invitation to take the assessment. The cards are spread out along the page.
Ah, okay.
Fill in contact information, hit submit, and they will receive automatically a personality assessment of them.
That's
I, as a subscriber, will receive a sales report on them. There's a sales report, runs about 14 pages. I would be very happy if anybody is interested in seeing the sales report on them. Get in touch with me and I will forward you the copy. That way you will see what the client gets, which has a $97 value, and what the subscriber gets. It really is in depth.
oh,
It goes into communication skills, it goes into buying triggers, buying tripwires, it goes into negotiation skills. It really is quite comprehensive.
well, I get that, and without question, it's not for me about promoting this in a way that people don't get it, because I absolutely love it. A friend of mine, Ray Lynn, says she wants to know why people love what they do or what they are selling. Why do people love what they do or what they're selling? Now, I could answer that, but I want you to answer it as best you can, Valerie, because I think that connects and relates to a lot to the different 4 personas that we spoke to. And I think me being a nurturer and what I'm promoting is something totally different from someone who would be an action person, or even if it's the same, it's promoted in a different way. How would you address her question?
Essentially, if you are doing something that is in alignment with your personality type, your primary personality code, you're going to be happy doing it. Let me just illustrate very quickly.
Yes,
Friend
do.
of mine, Mamie, she was in HR and she would go in and fix broken companies.
Uh-huh.
She arrived at this company and she was given a list of 35 people that they thought that she should get rid of because they were not performing.
Mm-hmm.
At that time, we only had the cards. We didn't have the online version. Mamie took the 4 cards. She coded every single one. Those 35 people were all in the wrong job. Moved
Ooh.
them to the job that was congruent with their primary personality code. 5 years later, they are all still there and performing well. So yes, if it's congruent with who you are, you will love it. And you will.
Valerie, I think that is so powerful, because you and I and many of the people here in the audience, and by the way, Alfredo just showed up here. Nice to see you, Alfredo. I'm going to put a question that he has up here soon, but one of the things that we know is that so many people are in work positions that they have no love for. And that ties in with the question that Ray Lynn asked about why people love what they're doing. So here you gave us another pinpoint that's more than powerful. When you take this assessment, it will align you more with what you are innately geared or meant to do. Does that read right for you?
That's one side of it. The other side, if you're in HR, if you code people, you can see that you can place them in a role that they're going to be compatible with.
Ah, brilliant, brilliant.
Remember, if we're unhappy at work, what do we take home with us? And how does that affect our home life?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, let me ask you this. I know that you and I both love this program, and I've put up the free assessment, and all of these links will go on the Joy's TV and be put up for people to click and to get access to you. But tell me, from your awareness, why is it that this is such a love for you? What has it given you that you didn't have prior to this? I think you might have answered it, but do it in a way that can connect to those who are tuning in.
I also have a nurturing streak that runs down my back.
Ah,
I love
that's
to help people. I love to see people succeed. This is such a simple system that is so impactful and affects people's lives just so dramatically. One of the things I noticed when I was with the Floor Covering Association, we used to run executive institutes where these were educational programs for business owners. Their number one complaint was that there was nothing in the sales training arena. So with BANKCode, it is very simple. You've got the 4 values or the 12 values times 4. You get the information, you learn how to speak with them. We also, on the website, if you are a subscriber, there is a learning platform there that gives you all sorts of information. We go in depth into the 4 personality types. We go into speed coding, where you learn to decode people by watching them, by checking their social media pages, things of that nature. We have power scripting, where you learn how to write for each of the personality codes. Now, we have some automotive dealers who send out a newsletter. They tweak their newsletters 4 ways. They change the pictures, they change the colors, they change some words. And since they have coded their entire database, they're able to send the right personality coded newsletter to the right person, and they connect with everybody.
That is so powerful. That is so powerful. Let me tell you why. You already know, and the audience here as well. Yet sometimes you need to hear things over and over. Most of us are looking for a target audience, an avatar, someone that we connect and relate to one-on-one, that hears, understands, gets, and loves our message. Yet, even that person, that persona, there will be, let's say, 50 of them. They'll all hear, receive, and take in that message in a different way. So if you are advertising and promoting in a way, what you just said about the automobile people that were doing this, you have to connect those 4 different ways so that each and every persona will get it. I think that's brilliant. Yes.
When we first started working with this car dealership, they wanted nothing to do with it, the salespeople. The salespeople more or less coded action knowledge. The customers, when they came in, primarily coded nurturer. The salespeople were not connecting with the clients. They were educating them so that when they went down the street, they thought somebody who actually connected. There was a study done by the Tally Group. They determined that 82% of people would buy when the presentation was made in their primary code.
Yes.
And of course, it's something they needed, wanted, and could afford. Whereas only 18% would if it was a different code presentation. So you can see from that how valuable making the right presentation is to your bank account.
Absolutely. There's no question about that. And let's just speak to the reality of all of us. We understand, most of us, the value of money and the purpose of money. And yet, when you really get into who you are and why you relate and connect the way you do, the relationship to money changes, and the way you connect and relate to others change as well. Yes.
Absolutely, without question.
Yeah. So listen, time flies here. I ask for people to ask, this is what Alfreda says: work positions require 9 to 5, but we're all in a gig economic society lately. Well, there's a lot of truth to that. But even that 9 to 5, when you're more in line, if I heard you, Valerie, with what you're innately here to do and what's best for you to do, that will give you the maximum of everything. A personality assessment to get you in line with that will only support you in the best ways. Yes.
That is true. And also, if you are in sales or if you're in relationships, when you understand the primary code of the person you are communicating, have learned the communication skills, it is life-changing. Some people are increasing their income up to 300%. as they become proficient in this methodology.
Well, I love it. You know that. I love it. I love it. I love it. And I've learned a lot about me, more I thought I kind of knew. You never know everything. And I continue to really high rate this particular program. Now, is there anything that you didn't share with us that you'd like to share with us about the bank code? Is there any question you have for any of us? Is there anything you want? Because we're going to bid adieu for now and say so long shortly. And I'm going to, Valerie, put you to the side and say goodbye to the audience. But is there any last remarks that you want to leave us with? Are there any questions that you have, even though you can't see who's in the audience? For anybody, I'm putting up your link to the free assessment, which everybody hopefully will take advantage of, because it is phenomenal and it broadened my vision in quite a big way. And I'm sure it will for those who are in the audience. But what can you leave us with? How shall we say so long for now to you?
I want to encourage everybody to take the free assessment.
Yes.
Submit their contact information so they get their personality assessment. Take a look at it, see how true it is. Contact me and I will send you the sales version of it. That way you can see better the whole system. And please give me a call, contact me, email, text, give me a call, and any questions you may have, I would be more than happy to discuss with you.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. I can't say it enough. I really think this, I've seen, as you have seen, and I'm sure our audience, zillions of personality assessments and all different types of formats. And it has to be something that connects and relates to you. And when I discovered this, I said, wow, this is something that I want to use, not only for me, but I want to introduce it to other people because I think it's very powerful. So I thank you for being here. And I can't ever say thank you enough. You and I are Wonder Women in many ways because we got through this Alfredo, you know me in technology. And Valerie is very much my soul sister in that regard. But we made it, and I thank you for that.
About 20 seconds before we went on air, we had no sound.
None whatsoever. None whatsoever. And I'm hoping, because this is the second time that I've not used the earbuds, and I don't like them anyway. And because whatever you were using, anyway, that's a lot of means nothing. But I'm hoping that this sound comes out okay and people are able to get the meat and potatoes, the gist of the conversation that we had here tonight. Valerie, so long for now. I'm going to put you on the side, but don't go away. Stay there for a second while I say goodbye. So long for just a moment or two, okay? And thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Now, my friends, Alfredo, it's always good to see you, my friend. One of these days, you and I will have to do a Zoom call or something so you can support and help me with this technology. Yet, Valerie and I, we futzed around and we finally got it. And hopefully the sound is okay. I heard from someone that it was. I'm hoping that it's clear and that you got a lot of good information, because this bank code, my friend, is very, very powerful. And it's something that I'm going to promote along with Valerie, because selling is not my forte, and yet building relationships and getting to know people and connecting and relating with them on their level so that there's a connection, a real connection made, that's heartfelt for me. And I'm sure it is for you as well. So take advantage of this free assessment. I'm going to say so long for now. And before I do, may I say to all of you again, can never say it enough, thank you for all of your prayers, for all of your messages to me asking how my husband is doing, and sending out your prayers to both of us. I am so grateful, so grateful. And the beauty and the wonder of this is that he's in a physical rehab center, but he will be home for Christmas. And I can't wait, and neither can he. He wants to come home right now. So thank you again. And all of you who join me always faithfully, I cannot tell you how good it is to see you here, because we are building and there's so much in the hopper. And I know I say this every week, but good things take time. That's a fact. We all know that. So wherever you are and whatever you're doing, hi, Ross, good to see you. You missed it, but you can get the replay. It's a good one, Ross. So please take advantage of the free assessment that is available to you. And my friends, have a great rest of the week, a great weekend, and join us again next Tuesday night at 7 for Style with Joy, and Wednesday night at 7 for Leading Ladies, Leaving Legacies. We'll say thank you to Valerie Johnson again. Please take advantage of her free assessment. You will not regret it. And until we connect the next time, all the best. So long for now. Cheers.